Hi, everybody. It's Mr. Bob again, and time for another chapter in the book Street Shadows by Claire Gilchrist. I hope you continue to follow along with me. I know we're reading a lot of books. We're reading The Hobbit and also Peak, but I hope you're able to follow along with us on this one. Next is chapter 4, entitled Threat, and we start off with Pika this time. Worried, Pika watched her father and mother return back down the hill from the shade of the bushes where Taba had made her and her siblings hide. She hadn't been able to see much of what was going on, but Taba and Gree were both very worried. And just a moment ago, Gree had gone to see if Lamar needed help. She had only been gone a minute when they both returned. As he approached, Taba gave the all clear bark, and all the pups catapulted themselves into the open. They surrounded Lamar, pelting him with questions. Who was that? What did he want? Why was he in our territory? What happened? Quiet. Lamar stopped them with a short bark. He glanced at Gree, pausing before continuing. We probably should have talked to you about this before, but we weren't sure that it was going to become a problem. He paused again, exchanging another glance with Gree. Pika wondered what they were going to say to one another with their wordless looks. Finally, Lamar began to explain. The coyote who trespassed onto our home territory is named Jagger. Before he adopted Scruff, he was a solitary male whose hunting territory overlapped with ours. Of course, he stayed clear of our home territory, but when we were hunting in our larger territory, we crossed paths with him a few times. He mainly avoided us. Things have changed quickly this year. The biggest difference is he has started defending the forest area in his home territory. But he has formed a sort of pack with that little pup. And now they are around a lot more often. Who did the forest belong to before Jagger? Kai spoke up, confused. The forest pack lived there for a long time, as long as we have been here. We never had any problems with them, but when they died, Jagger took control. We weren't sure how it would go because we didn't know him very well. But ever since he has taken over the forest, he has been getting more and more aggressive. Today you saw that he trespassed onto our territory and challenged us directly. He backed down though, right? Taba questioned, worry in her voice. Of course, Lamar asserted, I'm bigger and stronger than he is. He doesn't want to risk getting injured, but I don't trust him. Pika cocked her head to the side. It didn't quite make much sense to her. But what happened to the forest pack, and where did Scruff come from? Gree exchanged glances with Lamar and then looked at her pup. The most important thing to know is that Jagger and Scruff could both be very dangerous, and you all need to stay very close to us. Pika was not satisfied with that answer. But what happened to them? Gree looked at her sharply. You don't need to know any more. Jagger is very dangerous, and he poses a direct threat to our family. You need to follow our directions and stay close. Pika sighed, feeling her heart sink. What do you mean by stay close? Stay close means stay close. No more wandering, meeting strange coyotes and playing with them. Stay here with your siblings and practice your hunting. You especially need to practice. Hunting has not been going well for you so far. Her tone was stern, and Pika didn't want to pick a fight. Her mom worried about her almost constantly. A few months ago, just after she met Scruff, her eye had gone from itchy to burning to swollen shut over the course of just a few days. Then there was a difficult period of time that she couldn't remember well. Finally, after many days, the pain went away, and she woke up able to open her eye again. However, the world no longer looked the same. She stumbled over her feet, ran into things, and pounced to the side of prey she was trying to trap. Her head hurt all the time. Now, I'm going to take a second and this is one of those things in reading that I think is important to start deciphering things. We know a few things about Pika, that her eye was burning and had swollen shut, and now it's gotten better, but now it doesn't see as well. Probably she had gotten sick, and this is one of those things about reading that it's important to kind of read between the lines to gain more information. Just a little thought you might want to think about. Now, almost 2 months later, she had started to do better. She had regained her coordination, and she experienced fewer headaches. However, she was the only one of all her siblings who had yet to successfully catch a prey animal. And this would have been dangerous for Wild Coyote. This is the only way they were able to survive. They didn't have handouts, and this is one of the things that leads sometimes to wild animals getting killed by humans. And this is not in the book, this is just my own experience, is because they're not able to kill, which is the only way they can feed themselves, and they start looking for other things. Anyway, she felt guilty knowing their parents worried about her so much when they had other things to take care of. Sighing, she wandered over to a nearby bush and lay down for a nap. Later that day, Pika was feeling bored and decided to go for a walk towards the golf course, where her parents were relaxing in a shady spot, out of view of the golfers. She figured that as long as she was between Taba and her parents, she could explore a little bit without breaking the new rules. She wandered aimlessly, enjoying the feeling of the sun on her fur and watching the humans swing their sticks and hit the little white balls across the grass. She was careful to stay hidden and stopped at a few small, scrubby trees to eat the caterpillars that climbed up their trunks. She couldn't stop thinking about what her parents had said earlier. What had happened to the forest pack? Where did Scruff come from? She was deep in thought when her ears picked up Mom's voice. She couldn't make out the words, so she crept a little bit closer, tucking in behind a small bush. Gree's voice was low and urgent. Of course we are going to stay away from the forest territory. But I think the problem is leaving one adult behind with the pups. They are still so small. Pika froze, listening intently. The low bush separated her from her parents because the wind was blowing strongly into her face. They weren't going to smell her. She kept listening. I know, Lamar responded, but we can't feed everyone for long if we stay on the hillside. We need to teach them to cross the road. I know, Gree sighed. I just think it is too soon. The road is so dangerous. I don't think they're ready yet. I don't know how much longer we can wait. There was this long silence. Finally, Gree spoke. We could take care of Jagger before anything else happens. You know that a confrontation with him could seriously injure one of us. He has killed before. I think it's too dangerous. I know, Gree sounded tired. It's just that I have a bad feeling about this. I don't trust him. We'll figure something out. Pika heard her mother sigh heavily again. Then she heard her parents stand to stretch, and was suddenly worried that they would discover her on their return to the den site. She began to back away, retracing her steps as quickly as possible until she got closer to her siblings. Then she lay down, pretending to be sleepy and relaxed. Beneath her calm exterior, her body hummed with thoughts and questions. Who had Jagger killed? Why would her parents not tell the pups about the forest pack? She vowed to try to find out more. Over the next month, there was no sign of Jagger, and the pups had to stay so close to the adults that Pika couldn't sneak away to find Scruff. Each night, 2 adults stayed behind with the pups while only one went on patrol. This didn't work out very well because food was difficult to find on the golf course than it was in their larger hunting territory. As the days passed, Jagger seemed like less and less of a threat, and they all thought more and more about their hunger. Finally, one night, it came to a head. The sun had dropped below the hill, and cool air had set in. The golf course had shut down, and the pups were preparing to go hunting on the green with Taba and Gree. Lamar was about to leave on patrol. Hey, Mom, Kai began. How come you still have to watch over us like that? Jagger isn't around, and it isn't like we are tiny puppies anymore. Taba broke in with a snort. You are not even close to full grown yet, and there is no way you would stand a chance against a large male like Jagger. Pika couldn't help herself and chimed in. Well, even if we still have to stay together, maybe it's time for us to try leaving the hillside. We could try hunting in the streets. She held her breath, wondering if she had gone too far. Gree looked at her with a sigh and a smile. I'm not surprised that you suggested that. I think you've been ready to cross streets since you were both born. But yes, in fact, we have been talking about it, and it is probably time. All right, Kai jumped up, throwing himself at Dane in excitement. Streets, houses, finally! Sage joined in, and then all the puppies were jumping and growling at each other joyfully. They could barely contain their excitement. Before they could get started, though, however, they had to wait for the deepest, darkest part of the night, when the fewest cars would be on the roads. They waited impatiently, listening to their mother drone on with specific road descriptions and instructions. It is the most dangerous thing you'll ever do. More dangerous than other coyotes, more dangerous than humans. She spoke gravely. You need to be brave and never, ever let yourself freeze in fear. It's pretty dark. Can we go now? Kai was always very excited when it came to a new and dangerous adventure. Just about. We should wait for just a few more minutes. Then it will be easier for us to become shadows. But before we go, there's just one last thing we need to talk about. The pups jumped up and began to crowd Gree and Lamar, knowing that they were a few minutes away from leaving. Pika jumped in closer, accidentally stepping on Kai's tail. Hey, watch where you're stepping, he snapped. Watch your tail then, Pika snapped back, impatient to get going. Why do you always... Hey, Lamar's growl interrupted them. That's exactly what we need to talk about. You all need to control your excitement. If you act heedlessly, you could get killed. Pika, Kai, you two especially. No messing around by the side of the road. Sorry, they both mumbled. Pika felt anxious. Could she remember to follow all the instructions? Okay, Lamar continued, beyond the rules we have talked about, it is important that you grasp the concept of not just moving through the night, but being the night. When you leave our safe haven, it is important that you blend into the night. We don't want to be detected by humans out there. Humans are unpredictable and dangerous. You shouldn't move when they pass by. Whether it is a car or a bike or on foot, you must press your body against something and be completely still. You have to become part of its shadow. When you are outside this place, you must not be a living, breathing body. You are a street shadow. The pups listened intently. Then Kai ran over to a bush. Check it out. I'm a shadow. Then he froze. He was joking, but Kai tried closing her eyes and then opening them again, and found out that he had all but disappeared. The soft blending of his fur from brown to silver and the furry edge of his profile helped him disappear completely into the gray palette of the bush behind him. She smiled as she understood what her father had been talking about. All right, very nice, Kai. Okay, I think we're ready. Now, one last time, what are the 3 rules you have to follow no matter what? Sage piped up quickly. 1, no humans. We don't exist for them. 2, don't mess around when we are crossing roads. The machines are very fast and we have to learn to cross at the right time. 3, don't talk to other coyotes until we are bigger. And don't pick fights with anything too big. Gree nodded her head. Good. Everyone got it? Most important, you must promise to obey us, whatever we say, no matter what it is. Pika thought that sounded a little too extreme, but all of her siblings were nodding their assent. So she nodded too. Gree's eyes picked her out and stared at her, laser sharp. Pika, no matter what? Yes, Mom. Okay, let's go. I'll go first. Lamar will take the back. Stay together. Taba, you want to come too? I can't handle the watching, Taba replied, stress lacing her voice. I'll do my own thing and meet you all back here later. She gave them all one last glance. Good luck. She called out as she turned and loped away. Everyone else headed out towards the road. And that's the end of Chapter 4, The Threat. Next chapter is called Crossing, Chapter 5. And we start off again with Pika. Again, it's an interesting thing to see the juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is the kind of the comparison between 2 different positional things, 2 different places, 2 different things. In this case, the 2 different coyotes, Pika and Scruff, and their families, and their situations and their lives, and where they hunt and how they see things. It's a very different thing, and it's one of the things that can instruct us. This is what's called anthropomorphizing. In other words, we are making coyotes into kind of like mini humans in a sense, giving them human emotions, human thoughts. And we don't really know exactly how coyotes think, but probably not exactly like this for sure. Anyway, though, it's a good way for us to be able to anticipate how other people think and work. anthropomorphizing animals gives us a chance to understand other people, because the writer is basically giving us an opportunity to see how other people think in the guise or the form of animals. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. This is Mr. Bob, and we'll talk again later in our next chapter of Street Shadow. Bye bye.